Were these two Disneyland meet and greet actors just playing around, or did they know something? I think they were just playing around. But they stumbled upon a truth, and that's that it seems that Ms. Marvel and Shang-Chi might actually shop at the same jewelry store. For reals. Yes, that's the 10 rings on the floor of the tomb in our 1942 flashback in India, where our displaced Jinn find one of the 2 bangles they apparently need to get back home to the Noor dimension. Noor means light in Arabic. So many questions. Why is there Chinese writing in a tomb in India? Is the other bangle the 10 rings? That's interesting. And also, who does the severed blue arm belong to? Methinks it's Kree, because of course Ms. Marvel is about to co-star in the Marvel sequel, and Captain Marvel spent a lot of time with the Kree. But does that mean that Shang-Chi's bracelets are Kree? They have, of course, been around much longer, millennia, or as we know from his father. And I guess that would make sense why there's this tomb. Or did the British, is it the bracelets, or is it in a museum? Maybe Stephen Grant's looking after it. All this stuff's starting to come together in I hope, an interesting way. It seems a little chaotic right now, but I'm here for it. I mean, Marvel is at its strongest when everything interconnects, and we seem to be heading finally down that path a little bit after Phase 4 has seemed a little, directionless. All right, now remember at the end of Shang-Chi, at the end of that movie, it was discovered that the bracelets were sending out a signal. Is that signal to the Noor dimension? It can't be Hala, because Carol was in on that powwow and she was stumped. So it was something that they weren't aware of. So I'm thinking maybe it is the Noor dimension. I also will say that while I told you way in advance that Kamala Khan was going to be reimagined as a Jinn instead of an Inhuman, I think I was like one of the first, if not the first, to tell you, and a lot of you didn't believe me. But I'm not a fan of the execution when I actually see it taking place. Like, for instance, how many supergroups have been hanging around for decades or more doing absolutely nothing? First the Eternals, then the avatars of the Egyptian gods over in Moon Knight, and now these Djinn, the ClanDestine? It's too many groups, all doing the same thing. Why don't we make some of these the same group, quite frankly? And why don't the Djinn have any powers? Why don't they just immediately take the bangle and use it to unlock their own powers as Kamala did? They seem to just see it as a gateway to their home world. But maybe they don't know. Maybe they don't know about it unlocking powers because Kamran's mother didn't see Aisha put the bangle on and it unlock her own abilities, just as Bruno didn't see when Kamala did it. I thought that was a cute callback. And by the way, when Kamala, and I'm assuming her great-grandmother, flip backwards, is that through the Noor dimension? And why is everyone just standing around in it? Aisha, by the way, is stunning. Such a charismatic, gorgeous actress. And if her daughter, Sana, who is Kamala's grandmother, if she saw the same vision of a train, which is why she says Kamala needs to come to Karachi, does that mean she has powers as well? And what about Kamala's mother? I hope Kamala's mother has powers. I really like Kamala's mother. In fact, I love Kamala's mother. I think she's not only a wonderful person, but I think she's got a cool factor. I think she's cool. And it's driving me crazy that Kamala won't tell her parents about what's happening to her. She really wants ruining her brother's wedding to be on her without a good explanation? Who would take that burden on when, again, her family is just so wonderful? Sometimes Kamala is not very nice. I thought she wasn't very nice to Bruno yet again this episode, which I guess she gets a little from her mom. Sometimes her mom isn't so nice either, but her dad is all sweetheart. What a sweetheart. I guess her brother takes after her father. So sweet. And I loved when they had that conversation together. That was really nice. We'll talk about the wedding. But overall, her parents are so understanding and so genuinely thoughtful and helpful. I thought their idea again for AvengerCon was solid, better than solid. Plus, it's also her mother's family. Her mother has a right to know and probably knows more than she's letting on, as she's made it kind of clear she knows more than she's letting on. It just seems to me like bad writing to create conflict that Kamala doesn't tell her parents what's going on. Her parents asked her point blank and said they would support her. How many times is Kamala going to go through this in the same season? I mean, Nakia's pretty upset about being kept in the dark, and she's just a friend. So imagine how betrayed Kamala's family will feel. How many times is she going to make her dad cry? All right, so while there's a ton of info in this episode, I think the new Ms. Marvel mythology is overly complicated with very little payoff. The wedding fight was just too low budget for my liking. Some of you said it reminded you of some of the Marvel Netflix shows, and I would agree with that. It's like, so you're all just going to walk slowly around the kitchen? Come on! And when did Bruno start working out, by the way, right? I don't know, maybe he just finally stopped wearing layers? But he looks like he's got the head of a teenager on the body of a college student, right? And it's weird. It's off-putting. It's weird. But I guess that's puberty for you. Also, it's brutal to watch him to just be stuck in the friend zone when he continues to work so hard to be a part of Kamala's life and to help her out. He is just... It's like, I can't watch it anymore, Bruno. You know, ask her out or go to Caltech. I'm glad he's planning to go to Caltech. He deserves it. He's already the Tony Stark of the group. He's solving Tony Stark level problems. Kamala's basically coming over him saying, solve time travel for me. And he's like doing it kind of, which I think is incredible. His journeys with Kamala should be, I mean, he's already been accepted, but there's his essay for college. One of the things also that I continue to love about this show, though, that I was so happy to see continue again with episode 3, is its celebration and exploration of Muslim culture and introducing audiences who aren't aware of those things to that world. I'm having a great time. I think it's great. Amir and Taisha's wedding is so well realized, from Muslim customs to that really fun dance number that was not only fun and well done, but it made you feel so nice about the family that they planned that surprise for the couple, for the wedding, for the bride and groom. I thought that was great. I was clapping along during the watch along. Kamala's hair, though, by the way, looks amazing at the wedding. She can rock an Avengers style blowout. But I also loved the quieter moments this episode with Kamala's Iman. And to see her seeking guidance from him and for him to give such kind, helpful advice, it reminded me of the scenes that we see so often in media of priests, ministers, and rabbis. But here you're doing it with an Iman, and I think it fit perfectly. And it just goes to show that we're more alike than we are different. And I wish that we celebrated our similarities rather than looking for the differences. And some of the things that we think are differences are actually similarities. I think her Iman is just really a swell guy. I'm also happy that Nakia was elected to the mosque board and is already kicking butt. She handed those DODC people their walking papers, although I was shocked that they were so crass as to violate the mosque like that and to wear their shoes inside. Especially when they were there to ask the mosque for help. I was like, you're not serving a warrant. You're not here to arrest somebody. You're not here to mean business. You're trying to, say, work with us. And you walk on the carpet? I mean, that was just, someone needs to go back to basic training and have human resources stop by. That was a mess. By the way, speaking of the DODC, how expensive is Arian Moayed that they had to switch to his much less charismatic partner to make all the rounds here? I'm like, where'd our A guy go? I mean, what a bummer. And I can't imagine he's that expensive. He doesn't work that much. He'd have known to take his shoes off, right? Or to at least stay off the rug. Other great moments, that cover band Brown Jovi, they were fantastic. That's going to come back in the MCU. It has to. It's so great. And then to follow up with the action scene being a classic Bon Jovi song. What a fantastic callback to last week's episode about how much her parents in all of New Jersey love Bon Jovi, who themselves are New Jersey natives. We got to get Bruce Springsteen in here too. And it's weird to me they didn't go with Bruce Springsteen, but Bon Jovi is also fantastic. And it seems that Kamran isn't as evil as the rest of his clan, or is he playing the long game? But that also means, since he's also a Jinn, that means he has powers too, if he were to put the bangle on? Here's hoping that next week's trip to Karachi clears a lot of this up. Will we meet Red Dagger from the comics who was in Karachi? Is that Kamran? I mean, I hope next week's episode is done well, instead of a budget trip overseas like I felt Moon Knight was. I mean, that ended up working out okay, even though they always hung out like in the same square. But I'd really like to feel like we're in Karachi. I think that's important. Kamala Khan went to Pakistan in the comics, and her parents did eventually find out about her powers. She met Red Dagger. That was also another love triangle. But this show is like the comic on Fast Forward. They're burning through an awful lot of story. And I hope by the end of the season, they have a lot to show for it. Right now, I'm a little nervous with how much story they're burning through. Especially because I think they're now on not solid footing with this new origin story for Kamala Khan. It shouldn't be this complicated. It should be simpler than this. It should be really, like, I don't understand. If you have like, witches and sorcerers like Wanda and Steven, why can't you have a Jinn like Kamala? I mean, that to me works. I don't know what's going on here. She seems to be in the wrong corner of the MCU. She should be a mystic, not cosmic. I don't care where they put her in the comics. The way they've reimagined her, she belongs in mystic. But what do you think? What do you think of this week's episode? And what do you think of the direction of the show so far? And what do you think of all the changes that are being made? And what are your hopes for next week when again we go to Karachi? Share those thoughts down below. Subscribe today. And of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.